what's going on, everybody? Okay, I'm back talking about UFC 292, and I'm really excited for this card. You know, it's taken a lot of bad hits recently. It used to be a lot better than it is, but we're not talking about that, all right? We're just talking about what we do have, and that is Sterling versus O'Malley in the main event, as I'm sure you all know. I'm going to be talking about this card. I'm not going to be able to watch these super early fights because I am going to be out of town watching this card. But I'm going to try and watch as much as I can. You know, hopefully I get to see my GOAT GM3 fight. You know, I'm picking GM3. And then, you know, I think these are the tough finalist fights. I just don't really care much about those either. But, yeah, as far as main card predictions, I'm going to give them to you right here, right now. And guys, on UFC 291, I went 8-3, okay, the best I had ever done. I only got the main event wrong, and I got some other shit wrong. I got Tony Ferguson wrong, unfortunately. But, I guess one thing I can say is Brad Tavares is probably going to kill the ghost of Chris Weidman. Anyways, Marlon Vera versus Pedro Munoz. Guys, this is an interesting fight because Pedro Munoz is kind of just a worse version of Henry Cejudo, who Marlon Vera was originally going to fight. But, you know, Cejudo pulled out, and I think this is a way better fight. Obviously, comparing it to Henry Cejudo being in there, it's not the best, but it's all good because I think ranking-wise and, like, where they're at in their careers, this makes way more sense. Pedro Munoz, a very short, stocky, kind of a stubborn striker, you know, never gets put down. Marlon Vera is bigger, but in terms of power, I think the power has to go to Marlon Vera, and the kicks have to go to Marlon Vera too. So, guys, I think I'm going to have to go to Marlon Vera on this one. I think it's going to be a decision, a 29-28 decision maybe. I don't see either guy getting a finish. Originally, when they announced this, I was thinking Pedro, but I'm picking Marlon. I think he's coming off of a loss, but I still think he is at a better point in his career. And Pedro Munoz coming off of a win over Chris Gutierrez, but before that, you know, it wasn't looking too hot for him. I don't have his record pulled up, but I know it wasn't the best. And I just think it's better for the division if Marlon Vera wins. So I'll be rooting for him here. And yeah, I think, like I said, I think it'll be a not close decision, but competitive decision win for Marlon Vera. Good bounce back win. Damon Blackshear versus Mario Batista. I'm picking Mario Batista just because of how much I don't really know about Damon Blackshear, not gonna lie. You know, I saw his win last week. I watched that whole card, the Luque dos Anjos card, and he got a fucking twister submission. I was like, damn. I had my AirPod in, and they were talking about, oh, it looks like he could be getting a twister, and I was like, no way. But then, like, next thing I know, the fight's over, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. But still, I have to go with the momentum and the experience of Mario Batista, because he's on kind of a streak right now, finish streak as well. So, should be a fun bantamweight bout, but I don't have too much stock in that one. Another fight that I don't have too much stock in, but I would if it was Jeff Neal, is this one right here, Neil Magny versus Ian Gary. It's nothing against Neil Magny. I'm sure he's a fine guy, but he's just a boring guy to have in there, you know? He's a clinch machine, and he does, you know, what is spectacular about Neil Magny? You know what I mean? If he wins, it's boring. If he loses, it's boring. Now, granted, he hasn't been cracked, as in, like, knocked out, in quite a few years. I believe he was last finished by Ponzinibbio in, like, 2018. So, it's been a little while. You know, he got submitted earlier in the year by Gilbert Burns, and then he's coming off a split decision win against Philip Rowe, which wasn't the best fight. I watched that fight, and I really had no thoughts by the end of it. I was just like, okay, it's over, thank God. But I think Ian Gary is gonna get the decision win here. I don't know if he can crack Neil Magny. I wouldn't be surprised if he does. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a third round finish, just like his fight with Song Kanan. I don't know if this would be a first round finish for Ian Gary. Definitely not for Neil Magny. Neil Magny's way to win is just stink it up, take a shit in the octagon, and just clinch and knee. You guys know how he fights. It's just nothing too crazy. You know, the striking of Ian Gary's really good. Ian Gary's tattoos are a little weird, not gonna lie. But just looking at him, it kind of catch me off guard. It's weird looking. Anyways, guys, Ian Gary's gonna win this fight by decision. It says it in the UFC 292 script. I've got it right here. Or it's gonna be a 3rd round TKO. And guys, for this fight, I'm actually willing to put my money where my mouth is. Okay, I'm gonna put $5 on Ian Gary. I'm gonna put $5 on Ian Gary, and yeah, he's a pretty heavy favorite. So, you know, I don't know what my return will be, but I'm confident in that pick. And another fight that I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is, Zhang Weili. Oh shit, didn't mean to click on Lemos. Zhang Weili versus Amanda Lemos. I'm willing to put another $5 on Weili, guys. I know I'm spending big bank here, but that's my 2-fight parlay. Actually 3. Hang on. That I'm willing to put some money on, because looking at the fights, the last few fights between these chicks, I don't know what Lemos really has for Weili. You know what I mean? I don't want to say she's not a deserving contender. She's coming off of 2 wins, but like a year and a half ago, she got standing triangled by fucking Jessica Andrade. I'm sure you guys remember that. That was not too long ago. And you know, sure, she's had like 2 bounce back wins since, but at the end of the day, I still don't know what she can do against Zhang Weili. Okay, her social credit is going up with the belt, and she looked really good in her last fight. She destroyed Carla Esparza, and I think her mental is a big factor here. In you know, she's the champ again after losing the belt, and now that Nama Yunez is going up in divisions to fight Manon Fiora, I think Zhang Weili probably realizes she can kind of just hold it down for a while, and I think she will. I think she's going to dominate this fight, and I think she's going to get a finish. I'd be willing to say 2nd round, maybe more 3rd round finish for Weili, and I think she can knock her out or submit her. All right, I'm confident in Weili. Yeah, and like I said, I'm willing to put $5 on that. And yeah, maybe if all my picks win, I'll be able to get a dinner. Okay, main event. Aljamain Sterling versus Sean O'Malley. It really sucks for Aljamain Sterling, you know, in my opinion, because of just how kind of disrespected he is. I have a video on the channel talking about Aljamain Sterling and saying that, you know, it's time to give him his respect, and I believe that. I think his win over Cejudo is a great win. I thought he won that fight clearly. I had it 4-1 watching it live. I rewatched that fight today preparing for this, and I could see the argument for the 3-2, but I still think Sterling won that fight. I think Sterling won the Petr Yan fight, the 2nd one. I didn't have a problem with that. And obviously the TJ fight, you can't blame him for that. So Aljamain Sterling, all the cards are stacked against him. You know, he's having a quick turnaround, like a 100-day turnaround, I think. He's having to defend his belt quicker than John Jones, Leon Edwards, Jamal Hill before he vacated, and Adesanya. You know, those are all guys that fought before him. And Sterling is the first one to be fighting again. But I think he realizes the opportunity here. I think he knows that, you know, the UFC, they really want their guy to win. They want Aljo to kind of come in there overtrained, maybe a little hurt. But I think Aljo is pretty dialed in. I've been watching his YouTube channel. I've been listening to his interviews. And I think he's in his prime. I think he's at the end of his prime. But I think this will be his respect-gaining performance, okay? Because I think he is going to go out there and finish Sean O'Malley. Maybe even say fraud check Sean O'Malley. A lot of people thought Petr Yan was going to fraud check him. And I think Yan won that fight. I do. I know that looking back, it's easy to be like, oh, 1-3 O'Malley. But I still think that fight should have went to Yan. I don't have a problem with it going to O'Malley. I'm not going to sit here and say it's one of the most brutal robberies, but I personally would have gave it to Jan. And Sean O'Malley, before that, it's just been guys that aren't in the UFC anymore. So, really, I think Aljo's going to fraud check him. And I think he's going to have a choice to TKO him on the ground or submit him. And I've been listening to a ton of people's predictions for this fight. Any prediction video I can find, I'm listening. And I mean, the majority seems to be Sterling round 1, round 2 submission or ground and pound. And guys, I have to join the club. I'm willing to put $5 on Aljamain Sterling to get the win here. I think Sean is going to put up a good fight. I think he might surprise us. And I think he will make it to the second round. But I think Aljo's body lock is so strong, and you know, the way he's able to use his weight against the cage to keep you down is also really good. Obviously the striking favors O'Malley, but Sterling has good leg kicks, you know what I mean, and he can close the distance. Sean O'Malley is kind of banking on a moment where he finds his chin and gets a spectacular KO, you know. And I just think Sterling is too good for that. I think he's too experienced. I think he's kind of the easy pick here. I'm not going to lie. So, yeah, let me look at the odds on this. Yeah, Sterling the favorite. Rightfully so. Yeah, that's all I really have to say about this one. Sterling, I think, is going to get the win here. I think O'Malley, if Sterling shoots like a half-hearted takedown, I think O'Malley will be able to either defend it or get back up pretty quickly. But I think if Aljo puts his all into it, he will get the back of O'Malley. O'Malley gave up his back quite a few times during the Jan fight. I rewatched that fight today as well, actually yesterday. I rewatched that one, and you know, when I compare O'Malley's last fight to Sterling's last fight, you're as good as your last fight. I still have to go with Sterling. Great control on the ground. Nothing too crazy on the feet, but he's all right on the feet. And I wouldn't be surprised if O'Malley's striking is a bit hesitant, you know, because he's so worried about the takedown. So I wouldn't be surprised if O'Malley's brain is just like overloaded with worrying about this takedown coming at him. I'm not saying Sterling's gonna crack him. I don't think Sterling has ever knocked anyone out standing, and he knows that. I'm not trying to hate on the guy for that. It's just not his style. But I think he might be able to crack O'Malley and hit him pretty good, and then like maybe wobble him enough to secure an amazing takedown and then finish him off on the ground. I would not be surprised by that. But I do think that the UFC's golden boy is going to get spoiled. Aljamain Sterling is going to spoil the party. You see they're pretty close in reach, only an inch apart. The height is where O'Malley really stands out, but I think Sterling is used to it. And I think Sterling is just going to make less mistakes, guys. So with that being said, that's my 3-fight parlay. I'm willing to put $5 on each of these guys. Sterling, Weili, and Ian Gary. And I'm also picking Batista and Vera. My bad, I almost said Munoz. And also Tavares. And, you know, Gregory Rodriguez, I'm hoping he'll win. And then, like I said, I don't give a fuck about the tough fight. And then GM3, my GOAT, he's got to get the win. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this breakdown and my picks. Let's hope I do pretty well. I did pretty well on UFC 291, the best I've ever have done. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.